Thank you very much for joining me today. I have some important news to present to you and give you an update on what our plans are for the convention in Tampa. There's a lot of good news, and I want to present that because that's what this campaign's been all about. I want to thank all of you for all the support, and especially those individuals who have worked their way through the system, who have become delegates or alternates, and will be representing us at the convention in Tampa. That, of course, is the most important thing we've been doing for these last quite a few months, the last couple of years, matter of fact. But the results, I think, have been fantastic. I do know that there are individuals who think the campaign was less than perfect, and others think that the campaign achieved such success far beyond anybody's expectation. So for that reason, I think it's sort of part of human nature, because a lot of people look at a glass. The old saying is, you look at a glass of water, and is it half full and it's going to get full, or is it half empty and it's all negative? I like to think in a very positive way and not in a negative way. So this is where we are today, and I just am very excited. We have set aside Sunday, the 26th, the day before the convention starts, for a rally which will celebrate what we have done and to urge on and encourage all the delegates who will do their job at the convention, fight for our values, influence the platform, and do whatever we can to promote the cause of liberty. So it is Sunday, the 26th, afternoon and evening, and we'd really like a large turnout for this, because I think numbers are important. They know there's a lot of us, and they would like to dismiss us, but there's no way that they can, because as I have said so many times, an idea whose time has come cannot be stopped. So people will say, yes, but how many states did you actually win, when they want to put a negative spin on it? But it reminds me of the story that I've told so often about the at the climax of the Vietnam War, when Colonel Summers and Colonel Tu got together to discuss the closing down of the Vietnam War. And of course, our colonel said to Colonel Tu, the Vietnamese colonel, and said, you know, you never defeat us on the battlefield. And Tu paused for a long minute. It says, yes, Colonel, you're right, but it was also irrelevant. So not winning every single battle is irrelevant if you can win the war. And the real war is the war of ideas, and that is where we are having our greatest success. In the last several decades, there's been a lot of groundwork laid for the liberty movement, and great progress has been made. And I see I break it up in a personal way, that I got involved in 1973. For the next 34 years, I was talking about this and not making much inroads. But when you compare what has happened in the last 5 years, for various reasons, far over and above what I have done, but what the freedom movement has done, the successes have just been, as far as I'm concerned, magnificent. And this, of course, is what we have to concentrate on. The most important thing, I think, is the awakening of a whole new generation that's excited about these views and are participating. And there's no way it's going to be stopped. Also, there's been the awakening of the remnant who have been sitting and waiting to see if there's any support out there. The remnant, the older generation who have been working on this for a long time and have held things together, not only are they awakening, it's much larger than we ever dreamed of. So there's every reason in the world for us to be very optimistic about what is happening. At the convention, there's a lot of things we can do. We're going to have a presence, and I think the rules should be followed on our side and on the other side. We should not be disruptive, but we should also not be pushed around. And that, to me, is very, very important. And there's no reason why we can't present our views and win some victories when it comes to what we stand for and what the platform talks about. You know, a lot of people say, well, the platform doesn't mean anything, they don't follow it. There's some truth to that. But it's also very important, probably this year more than any, because, for instance, we've been challenged. The Ron Paul people have been challenged. And I want to just read something here very briefly as an announcement in a newspaper just a couple days ago. And this comes from the Washington Post. And it says, this comes from Rick Santorum. He says, Ron Paul's supporters seeking convention fight. I didn't know we were seeking a convention fight, but he goes on to say what he's talking about. He said, and this is quotes, "This week I'm concerned that Ron Paul and some of his supporters out there are looking for a platform fight, and I want to make sure that we have a strong, principled conservatives out there to counterbalance the effects of those Paul people." Well, I guess in a way, I think he has a point, because we want to make our point. And it is true the Santorum people are principled, but they're also authoritarians. They want to use the government to oppose their will on us as individuals. Quite a bit different. And one thing that has happened here, and the reason the last 5 years has been successful, has been the recognition that our system is falling apart. Just like the communist system fell apart. That was the biggest news of the 20th century, the failure of communism, because it was a bad idea. What we're in the middle of right now is the failure of Keynesianism, failure of central banking, failure of fiat money, failure of authoritarianism. So there's a vacuum out there because of the failures all around us. Everybody knows about it, but everybody's opting to fill the vacuum. And we don't want the authoritarians to fill the vacuum. We don't need more government telling us what to do with our lives and with our money. We have to present the case for liberty, the case for freedom of choice. So the opposition actually thinks too much freedom is bad. Letting people make up their own minds about their life and how to spend their money. The freedom message is so powerful, and that's where we're winning. It's an idea whose time has come because it's necessary, and the people are recognizing it. Whether it's economic policy or foreign policy and ending these wars and protecting civil liberties, I'll tell you what, there's a tremendous opportunity out there, and we want to fill that vacuum. And I think what we do here in the next couple of months as we build and continue to accumulate delegates and alternates, fellow travelers, believe me, a lot of people who are going to go to the convention actually agree with us in many ways on many of the issues. So this is the reason why we can't let up now. We have to present the case in a very positive way and not be, just divisive to be divisive because of the message being so powerful. And our delegates are well-versed. They know the philosophy, and we know what the platform ought to say. It should be a different foreign policy, protection of civil liberties, curtailing of executive branch power to go to war and run drone warfares and assassinating American citizens and promoting what was in the NDAA. There's so many things that are crucial. We see an opening now to really have an impact, not just this weekend, but the future for this country. So I want to thank all of you for being such strong supporters and hard workers, and I urge you not to be discouraged, because I think we're on the verge of really having a climactic end to this campaign where it will be just the beginning of the end of the big government authoritarians if we do our job right. Thank you very much for listening.